pretty much the review of every movie with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is, oh God, that movie was so just lame and crap and whatever. But, oh man, The Rock was so good.
Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?
Welcome to the Film Threat Podcast. I am Chris Gore, joined as always by
Anthony Ray Bench, hello.
And special guest
Megan Kathleen.
It doesn't matter what your names are. You walk around here interrupting The Rock, you like you haven't seen the sun in 20 years, you like you just stepped out of Oliver Twist. Please, sir, may I have some more advice, sir? You want some advice? Here's The Rock's advice. Shut your mouth.
We just saw Skyscraper.
We did.
And so much to discuss with this film.
I want my money back.
Well,
and it was a free screening.
And we saw, look, I love The Rock. I love him. But here's the thing is, I sat here watching the movie, Megan, as you're well aware, because we kept looking at each other a lot during the film.
Yeah. You guys were like little schoolgirls giggling all throughout the whole movie.
A little bit. But we kept looking at each other, and I kept thinking, it was kind of like that moment where I want Superman to become Superman or Bruce Banner to become the Hulk. When was The Rock going to become The Rock? Because in this movie, Skyscraper, he's a hobbled version of himself. One, he loves his family, which is a huge part of this movie. It's in a way, it's like every superhero, it's his weakness. They know his family. Also, he, through an injury we see in the first scene of the movie, there's an action scene, I don't want to give it away, where he loses his leg, so he has a metal leg.
Yeah, and that scene actually gave me some hope. I was like, okay, this might be kind of cool.
It could be, yeah, but
no.
So, but we're waiting for The Rock to be The Rock, which is, The Rock is funny. He is the world's most charming man.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about your impressions of. I want to talk about The Rock as a personality and The Rock as someone who is, every movie I've seen with The Rock is that movie was shitty, but I love The Rock. That's consistent.
Yeah, that's kind of his MO. I've been a fan of The Rock since he was Rocky Maivia in the WWF back in the day. He oozed charisma, and a lot of people don't realize this. He started out as kind of like a white meat babyface good guy, and people just hated him, and he got booed, and people would chant "Die Rocky Die," and he became this bad guy that was just super amazing on the mic, just completely just cocky and arrogant, and that character is kind of carried over to the roles that he's played in his film choices. But in this movie, man, I hated this movie, and he seemed really kind of just reserved.
Okay. But hey, let me clarify. Mm-hmm. I also hated this movie.
Okay.
Megan Kathleen?
It was a movie. It's probably the best description I would say for this.
But what did you think of the movie? Because here's what I would. This is my supposition, my theory, my whatever. The movie is terrible.
Yes.
The Rock is so lovable.
The thing about The Rock is, if you look at the movie Jumanji, which I know you said you haven't seen it yet, but I do recommend it.
Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle.
If anybody else had played his character, I don't think the movie would have been as good.
Yeah.
Because he's so charming, and that character in the movie is so charming, and I think The Rock just is so natural at being that kind of guy. With this movie, if it was anybody else, I think it would have been a lot more terrible. If they put a generic Tom Cruise or Channing Tatum, I think this movie would have been a lot worse.
I disagree with you, and here's why. We didn't get We didn't get The Rock in this movie. We got Dwayne Johnson, and it was super boring. Like you know what this movie needed to be? It needed to be like Crank, because there was so much stuff that was just completely implausible, and it took itself way too seriously. And I think Dwayne Johnson took himself a little too seriously in this movie. I mean, if you boil it down, it's basically a remake of Die Hard. It really is.
Totally is.
And the thing that I love about Die Hard is Bruce Willis is making quips. Bruce Willis is, going through these hellacious things.
Well, it's weird. Like, basically, The Rock is quips free in this.
Yeah, and I think the movie would have been a million times better if he was quipping.
You know what it is? They didn't let The Rock be The Rock.
Exactly.
Well, they had a very heavy Chinese influence in the making of this movie. Very heavily. And that's obvious. It's set in Hong Kong, has a very, very strong Chinese cast.
And now I wonder why that is. It's because the Chinese market is eclipsing the U.S. market in terms of box office. So this is basically a Chinese film with The Rock in it.
Yeah.
No, and also, I have no issues with that.
Mm-hmm. There's only about 4 Americans in the whole entire film.
Right. There's a lot of the movie is in Chinese with subtitles, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt like John Woo made this movie and they cut scenes with The Rock in it. Am I going too far?
Kind of like what they did with Godzilla, where they just inserted like an American character.
Like with Raymond Burr?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
this is basically Steve Martin. Raymond Burr.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just kind of meh. Yeah, the movie is freaking awful. But
And super predictable.
Yeah.
oh my God, so predictable.
Yeah,
we looked at each other and laughed so many times, not because we were laughing because it was funny, but because
we
ridiculous.
we knew what was coming.
right.
As soon as they introduced that character with the scars on his neck, I was like, he's gonna be a bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's so obvious and so cliched that in every movie that has a character with like facial disfiguration or scars or whatever, that's gonna be the bad guy. And I was I was crossing my fingers that they were gonna do something different with it. They were gonna But they didn't. Yeah.
No, not at all. If you want to be a good guy, I guess don't have scars.
Yeah.
But
clean shaven, no scars, no tattoos. That's the only way to be the good guy.
And no Scandinavian accent.
Yeah.
Right. Also they projected that with the music.
Mm-hmm.
The music just every time there was a bad guy, that was like, but not a bad guy. They introduced you to a character, and they would just play like the dun dun dun.
Every time that one girl would be on.
Right, the girl with the like flock of seagulls hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like annoying. She was irritating.
Just her body movement was like almost like T-1000-ish.
She was like the discount Black Widow of this movie.
Oh my God, discount Black Widow. # discount Black Widow is now a thing.
We already saw that movie, and it was Red Sparrow.
Right.
Well, one thing I did notice about this movie is that there's a lot of things in the trailer that are not in this movie whatsoever.
Yeah, The Rock kind of like does this like breakdown of like why the building is super dangerous and super insecure.
Like no one knows what to do if something bad happened. That's nowhere in this film.
And in this movie, like there's just the sequence where he's like, "All right, this building is totally secure. We're good to go."
Okay.
Yeah.
And there was also a scene in the trailer where the bad guys have the whole entire family, and they're like, "We're gonna kill your entire family," but in the movie, they only had the daughter.
Oh wow. This is like the Justice League trailer, where the first Justice League trailer, none of that footage is in the movie.
Makes me think they did that on purpose, or the test screenings were so bad that they had to reshoot everything and just put everything together at the last minute.
They also totally sequel bait in this movie. It's obvious that they're hoping that this is going to be a franchise.
Well, I mean, look, so much of mainstream studio filmmaking is global in the sense that this film is made to not appeal to Americans, it's made to appeal to the world, right?
Yeah.
And they want to create a franchise. But I think the greatest asset of this film, which isn't the building or the concept or anything, was The Rock, and they didn't let The Rock be The Rock. So if we went through The Rock, because I want to talk about other films made by The Rock.
Oh, I have the list on
made
IMDb.
Made by The Rock.
I'm
right.
prepared.
We could go through all the films that The Rock was in. There isn't a movie where The Rock is bad in the movie ever. Every single movie. I guarantee. I know most of the list without looking at it. The Rock is great in 100% of those films.
Even in the early stuff, too.
Even in the early stuff.
Like Get Smart, I watched that the other day on Netflix, which is actually a really stupid movie, but I love it. Has Steve Carell and Anne Hathaway, but he plays one of the agents in it, and it's very early in his career, and you can obviously tell, and he did a great job on that, too.
I love The Rock. He's great in everything.
Yeah, his first major leading role was the Scorpion King.
Oh, yes. With
Yes,
that
we all
CGI
remember that.
at the end of Mummy 2.
Yeah. And, well, they had The Mummy Returns, and he actually had his own movie, The Scorpion King.
Yeah. Didn't that go
And-
straight to DVD?
No,
Or
no, The
was that
Scorpion
theater?
King was theatrical. And
Wasn't the sequel to that straight to
yeah,
DVD?
they've had a bunch of directed to DVD sequels. But The Scorpion King, he was basically the character that he was on WWF. Like, there was really nothing added to it. He was just The Rock. The next thing he was in that was a big deal was The Rundown. That was like his basically a lot of people kind of compared it to an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and Arnold Schwarzenegger even shows up to kind of pass the proverbial torch. I thought he was fantastic in that, but
I can't recall that movie at all.
I think Sean William Scott was in it. I don't know.
Okay, maybe.
See, that's the thing. Like, all these movies are just completely forgettable, except for, that The Rock is in them.
It kind of sounds like it was a product of their time, too, because Sean William Scott, as much as I love him, is not much in anything anymore.
Yeah.
He's just resorted to cameos.
They did a sequel to The Goon, which I love that movie, and you love that movie. We haven't watched the sequel yet. The next movie was kind of Walking Tall, and I didn't even bother with that.
Isn't that a kid's movie?
No, it's about him like walking around with a 2x4 and beating people up.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Doom, which
Oh, yes, Doom.
absolutely a garbage movie. But
No.
again, The Rock was awesome.
Yes, and Dr. McCoy is in it as well.
Yeah. Not Keith Urban, Carl Urban. Yeah. It's been a long day.
Yes,
We're tired.
the movie is not great, but
No.
but also, who is great in the movie?
The Rock.
The Rock. So
He plays a bad guy.
How is he so charming in everything?
I don't know. Like, maybe it's just he's so attractive that we just kind of like project like this weird I don't know. I can't explain it.
He really has America eaten out of his hand.
Yeah, everything he touches.
Well,
is
I mean,
just
here's
box
the-
office
here-
gold.
His last 5 movies have made over $100 million.
Well, yes, but so I've interviewed The Rock a couple times. He is basically the male Angelina Jolie. He's very
So he's going to have a downward spiral coming up soon?
no. He's just
Jesus,
very.
you're mean, Megan.
He's very charming. He's like one of those things. You leave the room and you're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm on a new drug called The Rock.
Is it the smile?
It's just his smile. He's very Look,
He does have that smoldering smile.
Yeah, he does.
right. So I'm just saying that it's weird. I don't know that I know of anyone in film history that has that kind of record.
Yeah, not that I can think of. This is definitely the age of the Rock in film. He's probably going to be the king of the box office for the next few years. Because there's always a different trend of who's conquering the box office. I mean, at one point it was Tom Cruise, and then that got passed on to someone else, and then now it's The Rock.
Yeah, I will say that kind of Tom Cruise was the proto Dwayne Johnson. I mean, he was in so many movies, and he was always like the standout, and then he kind of went super weird with the couch jumping thing, and his career didn't nosedive, but it definitely
Hasn't recovered.
yeah.
His movies don't make as much money as they used to.
No, not at all. Aside from the Mission Impossible movies,
Which I still have not seen any of those movies.
I haven't either.
What, you have not?
I have not,
Oh
which
my
is a shame because I
God.
love Simon Pegg.
Oh God, Simon Pegg is also one of those things where the movie may be bad, but he's great.
Oh, yeah.
This is we should do a whole other podcast.
Like Fat Boy Run.
Yeah,
Run, Fat Boy,
yes.
Run.
Yeah.
Well, like the movie may or may not be good, but that actor is always good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there was this weird kind of lull in Dwayne Johnson's career where he was doing children's movies, like The Game Plan and Tooth Fairy and Planet 51, which is like an animated movie.
Kind of like what Vin Diesel did for a while.
Yeah. What is with that?
Because like I remember Vin Diesel did like one movie, I can't recall the name of it, but he was like a seal that turned into a babysitter, and that movie made a ton of money. And I remember that was such a big deal.
The Pacifier.
Yeah, that one. Maybe it's just every big guy that has big muscles has to go through their children movie phase.
Well, after that weird lull, like his career definitely exploded when he joined the Fast and the Furious series and Fast 5. Like after that, he was in everything. Like you couldn't turn on the TV without seeing a trailer for a Dwayne Johnson movie. It was insane. I mean, G.I. Joe Retaliation, another shitty movie, but he was awesome in it. Hercules, which I didn't even bother, but I'm sure he's awesome in it. San Andreas, shitty movie. He's awesome. Like, this is such a weird trend. And it's like we've been saying, like, what other actor has this power?
Yeah.
To survive, like, first of all, his career has survived all of these shitty movies. All of these shitty movies have made him a shit ton of money.
But these shitty movies are also kind of like numb your brain. Anybody that doesn't really want a lot from their movies love these movies, so that's why they make so much money.
They're popcorn action movies.
And I think that's his...
He's the king of the summer blockbuster popcorn.
What would you say
movies.
is his best movie?
Oh, God. Jumanji, probably.
I would say Jumanji, which Chris hasn't seen, but you should. Everyone in that movie does a really good job.
Yeah, I can't stand Jack Black, and he was
hilarious.
A major highlight. Yeah.
What do you think he's going to do next?
Skyscraper 2.
Yeah.
Well, I know Jumanji 2 is definitely in the works. It's supposed to come out next year.
Oh, right. He's going to play Black Adam in the sequel to Suicide Squad, I believe. Shazam is coming next year. And it's weird because Black Adam's not going to be in it, but he's been attached to the Black Adam role for a long time. And I don't know, like with DC, I don't know what movies are coming because they announce a shit ton and like they only make like one a year. I'm sorry, I'm tired.
All right, so
that movie literally just almost put me to sleep, and it was so loud and so.
So Skyscraper like almost put you to sleep?
Yeah, because it was so predictable.
It was so predictable. It was by the numbers. Well, here's the thing is, you know who was not in that movie?
Who?
The Rock. The Rock is... Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is top billing in the movie Skyscraper, and his personality, his voice, his vision, his spirit...
I wouldn't even say his screen time.
in the movie.
His screen time is very low. Yeah.
It's all spent on this stupid, convoluted plot, which is like, I'm good at calculation. There's like, I looked.
Lau from The Dark Knight is in it.
Yeah, Lau from The Dark Knight is in the movie, which Lau is, of course, the character that he's the Asian guy in the beginning
he's laundering the money for the mob.
He's laundering the money, and he's good at calculation. And basically, Batman goes to Hong Kong and kidnaps him, and he's in the movie. And he's basically his same character. He's the same guy. But there's a convoluted plot with some crime syndicate that's after him, and he basically has a flash drive that looks like a dildo. I'm not joking.
It looks like an Iron Man dildo.
Looks like an No, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
It looks like an Iron Man dildo. And so Lau from The Dark Knight has a flash drive that looks like an Iron Man dildo.
Same color and everything.
And it is.
Yeah.
And this is the movie. And then The Rock is in it, but he never really goes full Rock. It's sort of like, you know what it is? The Rock was Bruce Banner from Infinity War. He couldn't really become the Hulk.
You really
He couldn't
hit
really
him.
be the Rock.
You just hit Anthony in the heart right there.
But am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
See?
It's almost like The Rock was handicapped.
See, that was one thing I didn't understand why he had to be handicapped. There was no
It added nothing
nothing
to
to the story. Like every
Yeah.
every situation that he would use his prosthetic leg, it's like this scene could have been the same if he had his actual leg. Like it did nothing. They never touched on it. It was just more kind of like an action accessory.
Yeah, I mean the little kid in the movie like having asthma like had more of a like an impact.
And
on
I
the
thought that
plot.
was annoying. I'm like, of course one of the kids is going to have health problems. Of course he's going to die. Of course he's going to have asthma. Like, I feel like sometimes asthma is like the go-to way for the filmmakers to get automatic sympathy for a useless child.
It's absolutely
it's
to
a
draw
child.
sympathy.
He does nothing to the storyline, but let's give him asthma. So therefore, there adds drama to it.
And there's this weird part, like, and I'm not spoiling anything important, but there's this weird part where, like, the kids get separated, and, like, the drive of the movie is to rescue the girl who does not have this asthma issue.
Yeah.
And it's like, what a weird thing to do. Like, you have the kid, like, you're building up sympathy, and at a certain point, he just disappears from the movie. Like, he's not important anymore.
Yeah, and his asthma attacks were just absolutely terrible. Like like, okay, this kid's obviously never seen an actual asthma attack.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't be too hard on child actors, but sometimes you gotta comment.
The kids
on
were
it.
cute, though. They're supposed to be twins.
Which obviously the little girl's a little bit older than him. It was a little
right.
obvious.
It was
yeah.
weird. I felt like they got older in the making of in the movie.
Oh, totally.
I mean, by the end,
She got a little taller.
I feel like there were reshoots.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just like, oh, wait a sec. His kids grew during the making of the film.
She looks like, in the beginning of the movie, she looks like she's 10. By the end of the movie, she looks 13.
No, you are exactly right.
Like she
Yeah.
hit puberty halfway through.
Oh, God. Okay, so Skyscraper is a terrible movie with someone I love.
Yeah, I mean, that's the review.
I mean, that
I
really
agree.
is.
I
There's
agree
not
wholeheartedly.
Not much more you can say.
Yeah.
Everyone was just kind of putting their bare minimum in it because even Neve Campbell was just kind of like, really? Why is she here? And everything she
And
did
I
was
love her. I
and
love
everything
her.
she did was
Same here.
super convenient. Super convenient. Oh, she conveniently knew how to speak Chinese. She conveniently knew how to use a tablet.
This movie
like her character
relies on
arc was
convenience.
stupid.
Yeah, this movie completely relies on
I
convenience.
mean, how many times did I look at you and I was just like, what? We had like...
During the entire movie.
Yeah, the whole movie. Although I did try to scare you once when I knew there was a jump scare coming.
You didn't. You kind of like violently jerked my arm. I was like, what the fuck?
But I knew a jump scare was coming.
Yeah.
because they projected the jump scare.
Oh, the
So lame.
the tunnel scene
Through the wall.
Yeah.
It was so lame.
And then there was a scene where like there was a character that was doing a monologue about like, I'm the only person that could fix the security system. And I look over at you and I like make a handgun gesture and just go boom. And like a split second later, like that's what happened to
That's
the character.
what happened.
Yeah.
To the
ma-
character. You were, I mean, it's weird.
Yeah.
You guessed everything.
Yeah, because it was so predictable.
Yeah.
I mean, and they even did that in The Dark Knight, like with the whole like bank heist thing in the beginning
true.
with the Joker.
Oh yeah, it was like, oh, one less share, boom.
Yeah,
Like you got the safe open, one man
and they
out.
did it in The Dark Knight Rises with like, are you the only person that could disarm this bomb? I am.
Yeah.
Is it a Hong Kong thing?
dumb. It's what they
I
call
guess.
captain narrative.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to project what yeah.
Oh, and another thing I want to bring up, like
Yes, please.
the police in like their little van, like or
which
not.
are super gullible in this movie.
Yeah.
Bruh.
They take everything
Yeah.
Neve Campbell says for everywhere. Oh yeah, she knows what she's talking about. We'll believe her.
Like when they're first introduced, they're in like a trailer and they're like monitoring the situation, and they literally like say what's happening. So it's like you're watching it, and then you're watching them like say like, "Oh, he just jumped." It's like, yeah, we already saw that.
Half this movie was seen through a television through the eyes of other people.
Yeah,
Because there was always shots to the crowd watching from away from the tower, and they would watch on the giant TV screen exactly what was happening. So it was like watching the TV happening in the movie.
and this really gave me a headache. I hate action scenes and like fight scenes that like the camera is way too close to the people fighting. Like it just.
The car scene?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It gave me a headache.
It was too dark, too. You're like, who's hitting who?
Yeah. The first Christopher Nolan Batman movie, Batman Begins, had that problem. And he fixed it in the next two that he did. But I hate that. Like, pull the camera back. Let us let us see what's happening. Let us see, Yeah. This movie sucked. We've been talking about this movie for 27 minutes. I'm fucking done, Chris.
All right, so the final verdict is
go watch Jumanji instead.
Go watch Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, but once you get to a certain halfway point, just walk out, and that's what I recommend.
I don't know, watch
Ant-Man and Wasp. Go watch Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah, that was way better.
There are a lot
Definitely
of other,
go see Ant-Man
there
and
are
the
much
Wasp.
better movies that are out now. I think Skyscraper is. I feel like Skyscraper would be great in 4DX, which we talked about last on the Ant-Man and the Wasp podcast.
Yeah.
There's another movie coming out this weekend that I'd rather see.
What is that?
Hotel Transylvania 3. I'd rather see that
What?
than watch this movie again.
What? Okay, well that's fine.
Fair enough to you.
Okay, cool. All right, well, you know what? We're a lot of unhappy campers here, and it's because we saw a film we wanted to like and didn't like as much as we did, and so
Yeah, seeing the trailers for this movie, it's like I knew this movie was going to be stupid, but I thought maybe it could be stupid fun, and I don't think it was fun at all.
Yeah, it wasn't as stupid fun as I wanted.
Not at all.
It focused way too much on that stupid, serious, like, we are the death squad of the blah blah blah. Like, I mean, like, it's so cliche. We've seen it a million times before, and I feel like The Rock didn't get to be The Rock.
No, not at all.
That was the main flaw. So
It's like it started kind of like with a high with the first scene, and then as the movie kept going, it just kept going down and down, like excitement level, until it just flatlined for the rest of the movie. Like nothing exciting happens, and you're just kind of like, okay, when is this going to be over? They're getting to the top of the building. Time's running out.
Everything in this movie was so ridiculous that they should have just embraced it and made a movie like Crank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome, but they didn't.
No.
It was like
It tried to be a serious movie.
It took itself too seriously. So
Yeah, I mean, he even said, like, there's a scene in the movie where he goes, "This is stupid. This is a stupid idea," and you're like, "Yes, this is a very stupid idea," and they should have taken that premise and just ran with it.
you know what's not a stupid idea? Going to the Film Threat podcast panel at San Diego Comic-Con on Friday, July 20th at 2 p.m. at the Neil Morgan Library. We're doing a panel called The Last Jedi Debate, which we're going to record and release as a podcast. Also, I'm doing another panel called it's the Future Indies You Must See, which I'm showing indie films. I'm showing clips from indie movies that are coming out, soon and next year. And you'll get to see those. And that's Thursday, July 19th in room 5AB at 7 p.m. The Film Threat podcast Last Jedi Debate is 2 p.m. on Friday. What else is happening? Aren't you doing some podcasts?
I'm doing a couple panels. Not So Strange Bedfellows, the relationship between comics and professional wrestling. That is Thursday, July 19th at 1 p.m. in room 29AB.
I'll be there.
Awesome. And we were both courted to be on the Leonard Maltin panel.
We're going to be on the Leonard Maltin panel, but we're supposed to argue with Leonard Maltin, but I'm just going to give him a movie recommendation. I have a movie recommendation for Leonard Maltin for a movie that I know because I talked to his daughter. Oh my God, I love his daughter.
Oh, Jesse's
Jessie
amazing.
Maltin. Oh my God, Jesse's great. So much love to the Maltins, both Jesse and Leonard.
Absolute treasures.
But we are going to go to their panel. I am giving him a movie recommendation for a film I know Leonard hasn't seen because I checked with his daughter.
Ah.
What else are you doing? You're busier than I am. How is that possible?
No, you're doing one more panel than I am.
Doing a lot of stuff. Okay, all right. So then that's it for Skyscraper. It's done. It's over.
It's gonna make
down.
It's gonna make $1 billion.
I don't think it's going to make that much money, honestly.
Yeah,
I'm
you think
sure
so?
it will.
All right, well, all right, take us out.
Let's get out of here.
The jabroni beating, now, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, stronger than a bear, faster than a buck, the biggest thing to hit Canada 'cause the Maple Leafs suck. Go!